At this point, I'm starting a team because I'm starting to lose some business because I have so much coming in,
Right.
which is a good problem to have.
I was gonna say, that's
It's
a
a good
great problem
problem
to have,
to have.
Chris.
It's a good problem to have.
Reporting from Washington, D.C.'s Rip and Flip Studios, it's the Rip and Flip Podcast with Al Blocker.
Hey, folks. Welcome back to another edition of Rip and Flip. I'm your host, Al Blocker, coming to you from the Rip and Flip Studios out of Washington, D.C. Today, you're in for a real treat. So today, I am with someone who is not only a top Compass real estate agent in the DC area, folks, he's one of the top 1.5% in the country for Compass. He's built one of the strongest real estate brands. And a lot of that I would attribute this to his social media. He has sold multiple properties for me. And jokingly, I said this to him, he probably wouldn't be on my show if he had. He blends great real estate execution with modern day digital influence. And what I mean by that is his social media is off the charts. Chris Perry, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Al. I'm excited. This is going to be great. Thanks for having me.
I can't believe I just recently broached the idea of having you on the show. So I really do appreciate you on the show. I know that you're really busy getting my stuff sold too, which I really do appreciate. So, Chris, let me start with this. A lot of people, particularly in the DMV area, I'm sure that if they are in the market for a house, they've sold a house, most, if not all, have seen or heard the name Chris Perry, right?
Yes.
And that's kudos to you. So, Chris, for people who don't know your story, how did you go from getting into real estate to becoming one of the most visible agents online? Talk to me.
Yeah. So again, Al, thanks first off for having me again. I love the platform that you have, and I'm just honored to be here. So again, thank you for having me. But
Oh, my pleasure. Oh, my pleasure.
I have, funny, I always start because I love that question with, I'm actually an introvert. So seeing people see me on socials and I love it. It has been a tremendous blessing for me and my family. It's allowed me to feed my family. It's allowed me to build a business that I'm really, really excited about. And again, all the clients I get to work with, you included, I'm honored to be able to work with. But that's not me naturally. I'm actually a pretty quiet person.
You got me. You got me fooled.
The funny thing is, and most people are that way. They think I'm just this extrovert because I'm that way online, which I can be. I can turn it on and off. But the thing that really changed my business to really start doing social media was the pandemic. So pre-pandemic, I had very little social media interaction. I was getting my business really the traditional kind of ways, both really kind of everything I could do from door knocking to I would cold call. Really wasn't really my thing, but I was doing that a little bit as well. And I would do open houses for other agents, really just kind of grinding to do and to get business any way that I could. And then the pandemic happened in 2020
Right.
and I couldn't be in front of people. And so I'm thinking, okay, how can I still get in front of people when I can't be physically in front of people?
Sure. Sure.
And, you know, I don't know if it was some epiphany or aha moment, but I looked at my phone and I'm like, well, I mean, I'm on socials because there's nothing else to do. This was when the stay-at-home order was. So why don't I start putting out content? And that was before real estate content was even really a thing. I mean, people were
Right.
really using socials for social things.
Sure.
And I started to put out content and I tell people, don't look at my first videos that I was putting out. They were terrible. But
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they had nothing to do with real estate at first. But then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could put out just informational things and then I could do video home tours because again, people can't go out to see them. And during the pandemic, I'm sure you probably remember, I remember having a meeting with our brokerage and I was with Caldwell Banker at that time. And we had a big meeting company wide and they were saying kind of brace for essentially impact that it's going to be a pretty slow market with the stay at home order. Well, as you know, it was the complete opposite where everybody was making money, everyone was selling real estate. And so at that point, I'm like, well, how about I just show houses because everyone likes looking at pretty houses.
Sure.
I can give people information of how to purchase a home. and then I can show them what I do every day because maybe people might be interested. It didn't take off at first, Al. It was about a year and a half, almost 2 years of posting a video a day without really any growth. And then I was almost about to give up on socials because I didn't think I was getting business somewhat from it, but I wasn't growing. And I put out a video. It was January of 20 it was, 4 years ago. So it was January of 2022, and it went viral. And I got 1,000,000 views on it. I got business
Wow.
from it. I gained, like, 6 or 7,000 followers from one video.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. And
Wow.
again, after almost 2 years of posting, and that's just motivation to your audience as well too, whether you're flipping, you wanna be a realtor like myself, whatever you're doing, like, don't give up
Right,
because
right.
really when I tell you I was so close to giving up, so I'm like, "This is not working." And I had a viral video.
Well, and Chris, that's a true testament to, like, really sticking with it. You
Ab
know, you stick with it because things, especially in this real estate market, are very cyclical. Things you get these, these ebb and flows. You think you're on top of the world one day, the next day there's a low. The key is to stay even keel and stick with it. Good for you.
Yeah.
When did you realize that real estate was like the lane for you? Because I don't think, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, you were doing something else before you transitioned to real estate. I think you were with the government, were you? So talk to me about that.
I was. It's a great question. So, again, I wish it was more of I knew from when I was a child, I wanted to go into real estate. It wasn't that at all. It
Right.
was, like you said, when I graduated college, well, rewind, when I was in college, I was doing an internship with the federal government. So I've been in Intel from the time I was a sophomore in college, I got my internship to when I graduated college, I went right into working in Intel. I was in HR, so human resources. And about 10 years ago, I quit that to do real estate full time. And for me, and again, I wish it was more of, man, I just knew this was what I wanted to do. But for me, it was a few things of why I figured real estate would be good for me. Number one, I knew I wanted time freedom. And I think anyone in real estate knows you have time freedom, but you also have clients you have to work with. Like,
Right, right,
where, listen, and Al, you know this. If you call, I'm going to answer
right.
because I value my clients and I value
Sure.
you as a client of mine. So I wanted time freedom. I was probably a little delusional about that one, but I wanted income freedom. I wanted to be able to, kind of eat what I kill, so to speak. And then the third, I didn't have kids at that point, but I knew I wanted to be able to be active in my kids' lives. Well, I have 2 kids now. I don't miss basketball practices. I don't miss games. I don't
Sure.
miss
Right.
titles. I don't make as much money as I could if I miss those things, but
Sure.
my kids are more important than the job. So those were really kind of the 3 things that I wanted. And when I was looking around, I'm like, again, maybe as cliche as this may sound, I knew I wanted to help people and I just knew I like looking at nice looking houses.
Yeah.
So
Got you.
I decided to, hey, maybe I'll get my real estate license. And, again, it took me a year to do my first closing. But when I got my first closing, it was actually a buddy of mine from high school. And I closed my first house. And I didn't care. It wasn't about the money or anything, but I closed my first house. And I was like, man, this is what I want to do. So I did real estate part time while I was still working for the government for another year. And then I quit that. And people thought I was crazy, all of that. But I quit that 10 years ago to do real estate full time. And I like to think it worked out well.
I would say so. So curious about, because there are a lot of people listening, Chris, that have thought about or are entertaining the thought pursuing their passion, but for whatever reason, they don't do that, right? So when you decided to pivot from your career within the government, was that a spontaneous decision, or had you thought about it a couple of years and said, you know what, now's the time to do it? Because one of the things I tell people
Mhm.
is, in fact, I had a conversation earlier today. Like, people try and time the real estate market, and I say, never try and time it. You know what I mean? You just do it. So the question again is, did you just up and say, "I'm done, I'm going into real estate"? How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So again, I think my story is maybe I think people are inspired by it, but I guess maybe because it's my story, I think it's a little boring. But I planned it out.
Okay.
I'm a spontaneous kind of guy in certain areas, but when it comes to finances and things like that.
Sure.
I'm very methodical and I think things out. And so for me, I planned it out for about 2 years. And so 11 years ago, I wanted to quit my job. So that was with 2015. I wanted to quit the job, but I realized I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And so 2016 was the year. And it's funny, I don't know if you ever worked in the government, but you know those big desk calendars that people have in the government where
Yeah.
they on their desk and it's huge. So every month, and I don't know if people even noticed this when they would come to my desk, but every month I had December 31st, 2016 highlighted and
Uh-huh.
circled every
Uh-huh.
month. And I don't think people knew what that was about, but that was my jump date for me.
I
And
got you.
whether I was ready for it or I didn't feel like I was ready, I knew I had to set the date and stick to it. And so to your question, anyone that wants to go for something, just again, some people might be spontaneous. And if that's you, great. I think that's awesome. But for me, I needed to plan it out,
Sure.
set the date, stick to it. And you will never, like you said, trying to time the real estate market,
Right.
you wanna time your dreams, it's never gonna be a perfect time.
There you
So,
go.
just go for it.
Absolutely. So, Chris, on that, I'm sticking on sort of the origin of your story. Let me ask you this one. What do you think separates agents who just basically exist or survive from those that really scale? Scale, that means, just really start to plow and knock it down. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think it's just consistency. And I've mentored agents, and I think you probably have been in that situation before too, where, someone wants you because you do fantastic business. And again, I'm honored to work with you, but I'm sure you've sat down with folks and you're telling them your process and how consistent you are, and you could just tell that they're not really going to do anything about this.
If not every day, every other day. I hear you
Absolutely.
loud and clear, but continue.
And so I think it's similar to someone like yourself that does such great business on the flipping side, where it's really not a lot of competition that for folks that are actually consistent and will actually put the work in. I think that's the only thing that separates me. Like I tell people all the time, I mentor folks, I have a mentorship program and things like that. I'm no different than anybody. I don't think I'm smarter than anyone. I don't think I'm better speaker or anything like that, but I work hard and I show up consistently and no one outworks me. And that's the only thing that separates me. Most agents or just people in general, most people are okay with being average. And that's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with being average.
Sure.
But to be great at something, you just have to go a little bit further than most folks will, consistently put the work in, and you will get to the top, I promise you, because there's not a lot of people that actually wanna put the work in.
I hear you loud and clear. So I want to transition just really quick. So I think I've shared this with you before. So, I've got a pretty long-standing relationship with Compass. And that is I've got a dear friend in New York who's selling in the luxury space and who's killing it. Before I met you, I had a few other Compass reps that I work with, and it's all been a great experience. But the one thing I do want to ask you is this. When it comes to your day-to-day business and how your consistency, are there tools that Compass affords you to sort of streamline the process for you on the day-to-day? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so there are, and albeit I'll be very honest with you, I don't really use a lot of the tools, I need to do better with that.
Okay.
So, for me, I use my own tools. My CRM, I have funny enough, I'll actually show you. I handwrite things down. So, I have this pad I
Old
hand
school. Nothing wrong with that. You're old school.
every day, I'm handwriting notes down because that's the way my brain thinks the best, and how I keep everything in line with handwriting things. But there are some really great tools that Compass has. There's one tool in particular when it comes to listings that it's it will tell you who they think using the algorithm who's likely to sell. And so that's a really, really good tool. And it's actually pretty accurate. It'll go by how much equity that people have, and it goes by, from what they've explained to us, how many folks are selling in the immediate area. It looks at how much projected equity that home has, and then it will determine via the algorithm if that person is likely to sell within the next like 6 months to a year. And it's actually pretty accurate from what I've seen and from what I've heard. So there are some really, really good tools within Compass.
So I'm curious to know this. How does Compass support agents who want to build a digital brand, online social media content? Do they have modalities in place to support that, or are you pretty much on your own? How does that work?
Yeah, so they do have what we call a market center.
Uh-huh.
So it will help you with your marketing or marketing center. It'll help you with your marketing there. It'll make social media posts for you. It can even make videos for you for your listings, things like that. Me personally, I use it for static posts, meaning like not video. I use it every now and then, but I like to make my own post. Everything that you see that I post on my page, I record it, I edit it, and I post it. That's 99% of things that are on my page, I do myself.
I remember you telling me that. So, still on social media theme here. What do you think, Chris? What's one thing agents get wrong about building a brand online? You think? Have you noticed anything where if you're just perhaps perusing through social media, you see things that probably work and resonate with you, and then you see things that could be just real killers for people? Is there anything rather that stood out that might be precluding people from building the brand online that you've seen?
Sure. Yeah, I think these days people target virality over business. What I mean by that is going viral is not necessarily gonna bring you business. So if you post a video and it's super funny, right? That may get eyes on your page. But if I scroll down your page and I don't see that you've been closing anything, I don't see that and this is me as an agent talking, so I can only imagine how buyers and sellers would think. But if I go to your page and all you're posting is funny memes and things like that, but you don't show any of your closings, you don't show any homes that you tore, anything about real estate besides just being funny, there's a place for that, don't get me wrong, but you have to also show production. And the thing that I tell people is, agents, even if you don't have production, lie. Act like you're producing something. Go to model homes and show model homes. Do something, right, to show that you're an active real estate agent. Because when people come to my page, not only do they see homes that I tour, but they also see the closings that I have that are obviously all true. I don't lie about any of those because they actually have my clients in them. But aside from that, there's a place to be funny. Yes, I have some of those as well.
Right.
But I
Right.
actually show production. And again, if you don't have any production, make it up. Act
Gotcha.
like you're producing because people's perceptions are reality.
Right. Hey, well, it's Hollywood anyway, the whole social media thing, right? I mean, you got the camera going, and why not, go for the gusto? So, Chris, let me transition really quickly. It's interesting. So, you and I got together by way of my son, and talk about your impact. Jaden, talk about your impact on social media. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but Jaden said to me again, my son said, Dad, we were working on the Project Rittenhouse. He said, why don't we try this guy out? I've been following him for a while and he's got pretty serious reach. So Rittenhouse was a few projects ago. And clearly I've been very, very happy with everything that you brought to the table. But my question is this though, Chris, how do you use social media to attract and educate investors? Because I'm an investor and I'm sure you deal with a multitude of investors. So, how does social media play a role in attracting and educating investors? Talk to me.
Sure. No, that's a great question. And so, funny enough, I appreciate Jaden so much. Actually, last closing that we had, I texted him just to simply thank him again. Like again, I don't take lightly being able to work with you guys at all. So I thanked him after for even trusting me to, introduce me because I don't take that for granted. And specifically when it comes to investors, I like to show off the projects that we do. I have
Right.
a few investors that I work with, you included. And from what I've gotten from the investors that I started to work with, they see the projects that I sell, how I market them, and then they want to then work with me because, like you said, specifically in the DMV area, in Washington, D.C. metro area, there are very few agents, honestly, white or black, that have my type of reach on socials. And a lot of home buyers start on social media. I read a statistic, it's about 60% of buyers start on social media, just looking around at homes that they potentially might want to look at, researching their agent, things like that. They start on socials. And I've gotten homes sold from socials. And the only way I even know that is because I've had buyer's agents. Actually, funny enough, on Rittenhouse, the agent said that the buyer saw my video and sent it to her. So it worked.
Chris, I got to interject this for a second. This is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show because the day to day crime all ages go through the day-to-day grind, right? But I think to be at the right place, to be hitting on the right cylinders, you have to be present on social media. And why? You know better than I do, but it simply comes down to extending your reach. You probably got visibility people in Ohio and Connecticut that might be considering moving to the DMV, but with your reach, it is such a powerful thing. So that's right. That's one of the reasons I want to have you on because you have mastered the art of social media. And I think there are a lot of people out there that are your peers, your counterparts, that want to get to where you are, but just don't know how to do it. So the prescriptive guidance that you're offering is invaluable, and I can't thank you enough.
I think that you're exactly right there. And when used correctly, social media is such a powerful tool. I get a good amount of referrals as well. I had agents in Texas that have referred agents to or, sellers to me in California and all over the country that will refer sellers and buyers over to me because they follow me on socials and they see how active I am. And, that's an invaluable tool as well for agents. So I think the question that you had was kind of attracting and educating investors through socials. And that's just showing off the properties that you guys do that look, of
Yeah.
course, obviously fantastic. Investors are attracted to that.
Kudos to you, Chris. One of the things I've really liked about some of the clips or excerpts I've seen in your social media is you are constantly educating people on the market. So, what's a typical day like for Chris Perry? Talk to me.
Oh, it's different every day.
I'm
The
sure it
only
is.
the only constant that I have every day is, time with the family. So when I wake up, I'm very present with my kids and, my wife. So I help, put my kids' clothes on. I help get them ready in the mornings. I drop them off at school every morning. The only time I don't drop them off at school is if I have like a closing or a, very early meeting, but I try to not schedule those because that's my time with my kids in the morning. And I really do value that. So I dropped them off at school. I hit the gym after I dropped them off at school. Both my wife and I, we hit the gym. And then work starts after that. I try to have that hour of gym time to be my own time. But of course, again, if clients reach out, I'll respond. But those are really the only content. And I do record content every day as well, too. So for me, some people batch record, meaning they'll say, hey, on Mondays, I'll take 3 hours out of the day to record content. For me in particular, I record every day or I'll edit every day. Sometimes I'll reuse content, but I try to give updates to my buyers and my sellers and check in at least once a week. And then I'm doing lead gen. That's responding to comments, responding to DMs, consults that I'll have every now and then I'll do showings, but 99% of the showings I don't do anymore. I just pay a showing agent to do for me just because I'm always my job is not to sell houses. My job is to or show houses. My job is to always be bringing business in. I'm the rainmaker of my business.
Yeah. So, perfect segue. How do you stay consistent with real estate and content creation? You do something every day?
I record every day,
Every day.
every day.
And
That's
that's
the
intentional.
way my mind works.
That's intentional. You do it every day.
Yeah, so for me, I record every day because if I were to batch record, I don't think that it would sound right. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have some content. I have so much content that I haven't posted. I probably have 100 videos I haven't posted that
Sure,
I'll just
sure,
record. I'm not like a recording artist, but kind of how recording artists will
sure.
record all of these songs and they only put out an artist might record 100 songs
Yeah.
for an album, but they only put 15 on the album. I'm the same way. My mind works that way where I might think of something and I gotta record it right now. So I'll record it on my phone. Maybe I'll post it, maybe I won't, but I have a lot of content that I record every day and throughout the day. And my recording it doesn't take long. I'm normally one take, maybe two takes if I don't like the way it looks, or maybe I don't like the way my voice sounds or something like that. But normally I'm one take and I do very minimal editing.
Yeah.
So it
It keeps it authentic too. It keeps it very authentic. So you got the whole Prince, the former musician. You got the whole Prince mentality. You know,
Mhm.
Prince had like an archive of songs that he never released, right?
Yeah,
So you say you got 100 videos you haven't released. So good for you. And I think you got to keep that rhythm going because when you got a library, it's easy for you to just pick and choose and go with whatever it is you want to go with. So Chris, here's I'm really big on my podcast about mindset, discipline, and scaling, right?
I love that.
If you can, what's one discipline that changed how you do business? If you can think of anything, what's top of mind for you of the one
Well,
discipline?
that's a great question. That's actually a very, very good question. So I'll kind of segue somewhat into mindset. My favorite book, and I've read it twice. It's actually right there behind me. It's The Magic of Thinking Big. And that book revolutionized the way I think
Wow,
because it says the premise of the book is, for all intents and purposes, it takes the same amount of brain power to think big as it does to think small. So I started telling myself, I'm a top agent. I'm a content creator because I never thought that I was a particularly creative person or anything like that. But you'd be surprised what your mind will work out when what your mind will work out whatever you tell it to work out.
sure,
Well, for example, very much like yourself, you are one of the top flippers in the entire DMV. I'm sure you tell yourself that as well, and you believe that you are, i.e., you are now manifesting that.
right,
I
right,
started to tell myself that I'm a content creator, I'm a top agent, and so now ideas are all people ask me all the time, like, "How do you think of these ideas?" And I'm like, "How do you not think of these ideas?" Like,
right,
this
right,
stuff
right.
comes to my mind literally every day, all the time, and I have notes in my phone of probably no less than 50 ideas for reels or for videos, topics, ideas, captions, all of those things because they're constantly coming to my mind, and I think because I started to tell myself that. And so again, mindset-wise, what you tell yourself, you will become.
Sure,
And then discipline-wise, I just make sure I do lead generation every day. As again, most realtors think their job is to sell houses. That is not your job as a real estate agent. As a real estate agent, your job is to sell yourself. I can teach my 8-year-old son to sell a house. It's
sure,
really not that hard.
right. I agree. I
Hard
agree.
part is getting business.
I agree. So, Chris, we are coming up on the top of the hour, and this has been just as I thought it would be very, very informative and impactful. So, Chris, transitioning once again, I want you to offer some advice to buyers, sellers, and potential new agents. If someone wants to buy, I don't know, in the next 6 to 12 months, right? What should they be doing right now in your eyes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you're looking to buy a home in the next 6 months, first things first, credit. And another thing I think that my clients like about me is I don't push anybody to purchase a home before you feel like you're ready. Not to sound arrogant or anything, but I don't need anybody's business. I have more than enough business. At this point, I'm starting a team because I'm starting to lose some business because I have so much coming in,
Right.
which is a good problem to have.
I was gonna s- That's a
It's a good
great
problem
problem
to
to have,
have.
Chris.
It's a good problem to have. But I want everyone to feel like they're a priority and that they get priority service. So with that, I'm starting a team so that way I can funnel some of these leads that I get that I can't work myself. So all that to say, I don't push anybody to purchase a home before they feel like they're ready. You need to get your credit score. You can technically purchase a home at a 580 credit score, but please don't do that. You're going to have a extremely high interest rate.
Yeah,
Shoot for at least a 620 if you're trying to buy with a first time home buyer program. Most of them require a 640. So credit score, you do need to have some money saved. I don't prescribe. Some of my clients do buy homes with no money out of pocket, but that's very rare. And then the third, you just need to have steady income and then start early. start early. A lot of people wait till the last minute. Reach out. If you're 6 months out, I can help you game plan to where once you hit that 60, 90-day mark out from when you want to be in your home, we can help you so it's an easy, stress free process.
So, Chris, again, we're at the top of the hour here. I do want to ask you this one. What's your advice to agents, both old and new, who are trying to build both a business and a brand through social media? What prescriptive guidance would you offer those people? Again, both new and old agents.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're trying to build a business and a brand through socials, I would say the first thing is find what resonates with you. People can tell when you're not yourself. And I think that's partly why people be yourself, but then also know who you're trying to talk to. Everyone is a lot of agents are just trying to talk to everybody, and you end up talking to nobody.
Right,
I
right.
ask people all
Gotcha.
the time, do you ever just jump in a car and just start driving and don't know your destination? I mean, maybe, very few people do that. Well, on socials, you have to think of it the same way. Are drawn to myself on social media. I'm very much myself. I don't want to be anybody else. I'm not for everybody. Everybody's not my client, and that's okay. You're not for everybody, and everybody's not for you. So if you're looking to do luxury, you want to do the multi-million dollars, you can't be putting out content about first time home buyers. You're not going to attract that person that you want to, that seller or buyer that you want. Vice versa. If you're looking for first time home buyers, they need education, they need hand holding. You need to educate them. If you're looking for move up buyers, you need to be talking about how is it to sell a home and buy a home at the same time. Things like that. Know who you're talking to. And that way you can actually reach who you're trying to talk to.
Fantastic. All right, let's wrap it up here. So, Chris, a few closing rapid fire questions for you here. What's winning look like for you in real estate? So, when you think about winning, is it just closing deals? Is it making more money? Is it extending your network? What's winning look like for Chris Perry?
Oh, that's a great question. Winning for me looks like, yes, selling homes, but more of the impact that I can make on folks.
Toughest deal you've had to close? You recall?
All of them,
All of
I had a
them.
few,
Okay.
I had quite a few, but I
Yeah,
had
none are a slam dunk, right? None are a slam dunk.
I've had one owl that was the seller screamed at me for nothing of my own. It wasn't my fault at all. It was actually his fault, but it was a very, very hard deal. We ended up getting it closed, but
Good.
yeah, very
Okay.
dis
So, Chris, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you? Someone's interested in buying a house, maybe getting some prescriptive guidance, want to know everything associated with the process of buying a house. How do they reach you?
yeah, a lot of people just follow me on social media. It's at Chris Perry Real Estate on TikTok and Instagram. If you reach out, I'll make sure I respond to you. I'm available.
That's fantastic. So, Chris, I like to ask all of my guests to leave parting words with my listening audience. Any parting words you'd like to leave behind? Was there's someone in their car, there's someone at their desk, there's someone, I don't know, going for a long walk that has listened to this and you've inspired them. Any parting words?
The biggest thing I can tell anyone is to, as cliche as this may sound, but go for it because you have no idea who you can inspire, who you can motivate, and who needs to hear your story and see that you have succeeded so that they don't give up. So go for it. And I promise you, if you put the work in, you will be where you want to be. I promise you that.
They must ingrain that in the Compass agents because my connect in New York, who's in the luxury market, said the exact same thing. And I subscribe to it 100%. Well, Chris, this has been absolutely fantastic. Let me close with this. I appreciate all you do. We've got a lot more work to do. And between you, my son Jaden, and I, we're going to be the triple threat in the DMV real estate market. Rest assured, we will be. Okay. Chris, thank you so much for everything. We'll be talking soon. And we got a couple more projects to close really quickly. Okay.
Can't wait. Thanks.
All right, Chris. Thanks so much. Take care.
Al.
Bye bye.